From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John.
And Joe.
And Joe. Yeah, Rob isn't feeling great tonight, but he'll definitely catch us on the replay. Barking Ruger's Joe, longtime guy here, guest on the show. And he's stepping in. And I asked him today, and he's like, yeah, my wife will let me. And I'll try not to pick on you too much about throwing a Ned rig.
Oh, it ain't going to bother me none, son. I fail on all kinds of things.
I hear you. All right, so tonight we have the 2023 Angler of the Year. And also, I was looking up some of her stats today. She's fished in 10 BASS events and cashed a check, I believe, in 4 of them with 3 top 10s. I believe that's what her stats were, and if I can remember correctly. But Teri Cindric, let's bring her onto the stage and get to know her a little bit.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good.
All right. So, Teri, if you don't mind starting with a little bit, telling us a little bit about your history in fishing and where you're at now.
Sure. I got started kind of tournament fishing. Well, I didn't really start fishing until my early 20s. And I got into bass fishing a little bit more when I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, because there were a lot more lakes around here than there are in Indianapolis, where I'm from. And the last year of the WBT, or the Women's Bass Tour, somebody threw me a Bassmaster magazine and said, hey, why don't you do this? And I was like, nah, I'm not that good, whatever. So I joined as a co-angler and ended up making the championship that year. And then they folded. Academy and BASS pulled out, which started the LBAA. And I have been fishing that as a boater. I don't really call myself a pro. I'm just a woman with a boat. So I just say boater, but I've been doing that since the inception in 2009 and have fished most of the tournaments. I did take a year off and went and fished the Bass Opens as a co-angler to see what it was like. I fished the Central Opens a couple years ago. And then I've missed some here and there, but it's usually due to work.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now. And getting ready to fish the championship, leaving this week for Grand Lake in Oklahoma.
Excellent. Pam Horn says Hammer's in the house.
She's too kind. I don't know about Hammer. I have good days and bad days just like everybody else.
Yes.
But,
I wonder where that expression came from.
You wonder what?
Where that expression came from, Hammer.
I don't know. It's used quite a lot in the fishing world. It's a compliment.
It is, but it never usually is followed by my name.
Yeah. Well, I think she's being kind, right?
Yes. She's a very kind and loving woman. So
she is. She does a lot of promoting, especially the LBAA and her videos, and really tries to show women in the sport, and I really appreciate her for that. I work so much that I would love to promote, but I don't do a whole lot anymore on the sponsor side and all that. I've had a few that I've had for a long time, but it tends to be another whole job, and the majority of them out there, at least at our level, it's time consuming, and you're usually getting a discount, and my time is worth more than that, I guess.
Yeah, I get it.
Don't look at me. I'm gonna send time. I ain't got time. I got time out.
Yeah. I mean, it's good sponsorship, but it's very hard to get money sponsors, if they're paying me to do something, sure, I'm all about it, but I get a lot of inquiries about pro staff and all that. And I do pass them on to other women that I think would benefit or would do a good job, but I don't do it that much.
I understand. It's funny because a lot of the people now, I shouldn't say kids, but anyone my age and younger is a kid. And I think that's about 60% of North America.
Yeah.
I consider a kid, but they think money's the first thing that comes out of sponsors or pro staff positions. But they got a hard misunderstanding there.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're first starting out, it's exciting, and I was guilty of it back when I started. I mean, I had a wrapped boat, and I did all that, but when you actually have a full-time job and fishing to me is a hobby, and when it's not fun anymore, I don't want to do it. And it got to be where it was more of a job, and dealing with some people you didn't necessarily want to deal with, and had a few bad experiences with a few sponsors early on. And I'm not saying it's a bad deal for anybody if you use a product and get 20 or 30% off, good for you. But it's just the industry today to really get what I consider, a sponsor and someone to even pay your entry fees. The LBAA, there's only, well, now they're next year, I think it's 5, but there's 4 a year, and at $400 a pop, I mean, $1,600 for a lot of exposure is not really that much when you factor in advertising and costs and all of that. But there's just companies aren't really willing, economy, now, but even before that, they're just not willing to commit to that. So, I just stay away from it.
Yeah.
Ms. Teri,
sometimes it's better that way.
I think you hit on something very key there, as you brought up the subject of time. And whenever you're sponsored or taking dollars from somebody else, if it's not your business, most bass fishing is filled with very good people. Even the ones that have bad attitudes, usually they're pretty good people. And when you're exchanging your time for something of financial value from someone else, most of us feel like we owe them. And a lot of times we feel like we owe them much more, and like you said, you're split so many different ways. In order for you to pay attention and put the effort into what you're doing, you really need to be able to have your time be your time.
Yeah. My spare time, which is very little. I mean, I fish every Saturday, and that's usually about all I get for fishing. So, when you're asked to work shows and, travel to different places to promote their product and stuff, and you're giving me like maybe 50% off. It's just my time. To me personally, it's worth more than that. I guess I'm older and I don't really care how many. Hell, I don't even like to wear a jersey. I just feel like I'm out there fishing. I mean, that's what I like to do, and it can become so much more than that. I'm a realist, so I don't really care, how many people know me or don't know me, and I don't do this kind of promotion very often. It's just, I just like to lay low and go fishing.
Yeah. Nah. Pam Horn says pro staff doesn't benefit you when you can only use so many baits.
Yeah. That's what I learned. It's like I'm in the upstairs is my office because I work from home a lot. But if you saw the other half of this room, you would die, because I could probably have a whole tackle store. And, really, I use the same 4 or 5 baits no matter where I go, right? I'm at the point where I'm starting to sell all this stuff because it's just overwhelming. Like, I was packing to go to Oklahoma, and I always bring a couple tubs of like extra, or ooh, I might throw that, or ooh. So here I've got like tubs of stuff in my truck, and I rarely touch it. And if I do touch it, it's something that I throw all the time, so I'll bring 10 packs of it. So it's interesting. I try so hard. I think as fishermen, it's a bad habit, but we all do it. I might need this. And I did. I went out and spent a couple $100 on some tackle for Grand Lake. We all do it. And then you accumulate so much crap over time. It's like overwhelming. And like I said, you throw the same 3 or 4 things you have confidence in.
That is true.
I'm going to cry, John. I'm going to cry.
Right?
Teri makes me realize how cheap I am if I spent $20 going into something.
Yeah.
Like, I got my little Ziploc dime baggie of a couple of spinner baits and a couple extra plastics in my pocket usually.
Well, I guess, I mean, I've done this for quite a while. So you accumulate stuff, and a lot of what I spend, it's refilling stuff that I, have used during the season, or, I don't spend $200 on, ooh, that looks nice. I used to, I don't do that anymore. So
it's like that old, the meme going around Facebook. Please don't let my wife sell my stuff for what I told her I paid.
Yeah. Well, I did buy for Grant. I bought 1 topwater bait, and I am cheap when it comes to like paying more than, I don't know. I guess the max is like maybe $10 for a bait, and I did spend $25, I think, on 1 topwater bait. So that was very unusual for me.
Next thing you know, the 30-pound braid comes out. She's tying it on with a double, triple knot.
I did. I threw it whenever I fished last Saturday. I think I threw it for a minute. It looks really good. It is a jackal pompadour, if anybody's interested. But it's one of those like really weird looking things. It's got little wings on the side, but it makes quite a disturbance, but they're expensive.
Jen Dolan says, yes, girl. What color?
I couldn't tell you the name of the color, but it has a white belly and it's kind of purple greenish. Somebody had it in a picture of like top 10 lures at Grand Lake. So I thought, oh, what the heck? Let me make one splurge. And I really don't think I'll probably even catch a fish on it. Cause like I said, I'll throw the same darn things all the time.
Yeah.
And, I'll throw it for 5 minutes and say, nah. But.
So what's your favorite go-to bait to just chunk at them?
I kind of pride myself a little bit on being versatile. I think that's why in the last several years I've done a lot better because I don't stick to one thing. But if I had to say what I throw the most is a jig. Okay. My philosophy on jigs are a little bit different than others. I try to throw the lightest jig that I can possibly get away with the weather conditions. So if I'm out on a ledge and people are throwing like 3/4 1 ounce jigs, I'm probably not doing that. I'm probably throwing something a little lighter, maybe not on ledges per se.
Right.
I will throw like 1/2 ounce or 3/4 to get it down there, depending on how deep I'm fishing. But if I'm under 15 feet of water, I'm throwing 1/4 or less.
Okay. Do you feel like you get more bites with the lighter weight?
Yes.
Okay. Because I remember, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I used to throw 3/4 and 1 ounce. I'm in New York. And everybody else was throwing 3/8 and half and less. And then all of a sudden, everybody else started throwing bigger ones, and I started finesse fishing.
Yeah.
Just be a little different. So I'm like, I wonder if, if the lighter weight is more, gives it more action. I think that's why?
I think it's a slower fall.
Okay.
They have a little bit more time to take a look at it. And here, my main lake here is all rock. So I don't get stuck as much with the lighter weight.
Okay.
And I just feel like, I'm giving away some secrets, but our waters, right? Every water, Grand Lake coming up, it is so pressured these days. There are so many people fishing that I tend to lean on the finesse presentations. There's bite windows where I'll switch it up if they're really biting, and I don't feel it's necessary to do something finessey. I'll start power fishing, but I just feel like you get a couple more bites on finicky fish if you give them a little smaller profile. I'll experiment with, the trailers is the big thing. I used to go out and buy like all these pretty colors and, whatever. If it's green pumpkin or black and blue, sometimes watermelon, you don't need anything else. You can make, if you're on a lake that's got crawdads in it, and you can tip it with orange, or the water's dirty, tip the claws with chartreuse. But you can play with the size and the profile of whether you're doing a bigger rage craw or a baby rage or a zoom ultra vibe speed craw. That's where, to me, that's what if I feel like they want something moving, I'm going to use something that's got a little more action to it. If I feel like, they want a bigger profile, I'll put a great big, rage crawl on a tiny little jig. I just experiment, and when I start getting bit, that's what I go with.
Yeah. All right. Jen Nolan says finesse worms are her favorite.
I really hate finesse fishing. If you make me throw a Senko weightless, oh my God, I'd rather like pull my toenails out, but I'll do it. If I have to. I'm not saying finesse fishing is better than power fishing or whatever. I think you have to do both. Yes. But finesse fishing is just painful. I think that's why I like a jig, because it's not so much wait for the damn thing to fall. It's just excruciating to have to fish with a weightless Senko, but I'll do it.
Yeah, I used to tell everybody, if you see me fishing a Senko, the day it's a rough day.
I always say, if I can't catch something on a Senko, the world is just not in a good place right now.
Yes. And
welcome to my world.
So barking Rugers, I know this is mainly about Teri, but have you had any experience with finesse baits lately?
Not good ones. I got spanked by them. But it was so bad. Like, I picked up the Ned rig, like, I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to fish this damn thing, but apparently that don't work. But I'm in the same boat with Teri. I just don't have the patience for it. If I can't hit them in the head like now, like, fishing to me is like a shooting gallery that's wet. I like chunking things, but I don't know.
That Ned rig at Bull Shoals and Table Rock, I can't stand fishing that thing either. But what amazed me was how fast it actually falls for such a
it'll get to them for a little bit.
I was kind of scoping somewhat in trees, and the top may be in 20 feet of water, Bull Shoals 30 feet of water, and that I was shocked, because you watch it on the forward facing sonar, you see your Ned rig falling, and one, I was surprised at how well I could see it, and two, I was surprised at how fast it actually got down there.
You know what I found after I used this thing now for the past couple of weeks since I got spanked with it? It reminds me of the little Roadrunners underspins. I use that a whole lot, right? But when I throw it out, I'll feed line to it. Like as soon as it hits the water, I'll give it a little pop, and that gets you. Sometimes you luck up and you get a top bite, but then I'll feed out line to it, and it gets the weight to pulling it down vertically. And you can cover some territory like that. And I think that's one of the secrets with the Ned head is until you put tension on the line, it falls like a weight straight down. There's not much resistance until you slow that line up, and then it levels out, and then you get that shimming. But the forward facing sonar, you can learn a lot. Not worrying about the fish. Worry about watching your lures and how fish react to them, but also how your lures fall from forward-facing sonar.
Yes. Yeah, I am not by any means a forward-facing sonar guru. I think there's a time and a place for it, and it's helped me. I'm not, well, there's a couple co-anglers that would disagree, but I'm not one to sit and look at it all day, right? It's helped me realize that there are fish there, there are bass there, and if they're not biting, I might stay a little bit longer with forward-facing sonar than I would, before forward-facing sonar. But there's a couple tournaments it saved my butt. I guess it was 2 years ago. I don't remember, but at Bull Shoals, I spent the entire practice teaching myself how to use it. I got over these trees that were in like 30 feet of water, the tops, and I just watched my bait. I watched the fish react to it. I learned a lot in 3 or 4 days of practice, and I actually had to rely on it in the tournament because, in the morning I could get them to bite like on a bluff, on a jig, or some other stuff, but it seemed like about noon that would shut off, and they would get really finicky, and then I would start running to those treetops, and I would either drop shot or like a worm, or throw a Ned down there and watch it. And I think I finished second or third because of forward facing sonar. Fish I would have not caught without it.
Right.
And it's a very useful tool.
It is.
It is, but I mean, I go either way with it. I don't depend on it. I guess I go by more of instincts and what I like to fish versus, I'm not one to go out in the middle of the freaking lake like these guys do, and there's no structure, and they see one swimming along and they throw it. I don't know how the hell they do that. More power to them, but that's just not how I fish. So
yeah, I'm gonna go through a couple of these comments. Hey Teri, good luck at Grand. Can't wait to see you there next week. Carly Joe.
Yeah, she's a young gal. Have you all talked to her yet?
Yeah, she's been on a couple times. She's an incredible young lady.
I fished with her at Table Rock, and she's a little firecracker. And it was funny because I learned not necessarily learned from her, but I had not fished. The fishing practice were a little bit off the bank, and I drew her. And she was throwing a wacky rig Cinco right up on the bank. And I fished the same areas, but after her second fish, and I didn't have any, I was like, okay, well, I'm not stupid. So, I started chucking it, and her and we had a great day. I'm pretty sure we both limited, and then the next day they wouldn't touch it. So she helped me that day do something different.
Yeah. Nice. That's one of the things about co-anglers. A lot of people say, I wish I don't have them. I don't want them. Well, two people in the boat, if the co-angler is doing something totally different than you, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
It's come in handy, I'm sure. And there's been times, where I'm catching them, and I if I like them, which is generally, I'll share.
Yep.
You treat me well, I'll treat you well. And there's sometimes I'm spanking them and they're not, and I'll toss what I'm throwing to them. So I could go either way. I love fishing by myself because I never get time by myself between like work and family and all of that. So I love to not have to worry about anybody in the boat. But there's times it hurt me too. It hurt me at Table Rock Day too. I fished without a co-angler, and I caught a big fish, and we're allowed to use a net, and I screwed up at the boat and was trying to figure out, am I going to lip it? Am I going to get down? I gave it too long, and whoop, it popped off, and I know I would have had that fish if I had a co-angler. So yeah. I go either way.
All right. Fisher says, good evening, all.
Hello.
And Carly says, can't wait to have you in the boat as a boater again. That was a fun day.
Well, you can't really tell with her because she's so dang quiet. I mean, she's like pulling teeth. I'm quiet. You fish with me in practice, you're going to have a lot of laughs because I'm a cluster. But if you draw me on tournament day, I am pretty darn quiet until, I get a few fish in the boat. I start feeling better. I'll start talking. But she was super duper quiet.
She's going to have to be on the front deck pretty soon.
Yeah. I'll bet she's headed there. But she does this thing which grosses me out. She puts a fish in her mouth at the weigh-in, and she'll hold up her 3 fish and one's in the mouth, and I don't know. Everybody has their thing, but not me.
She took the kissing a fish a little too far, you think?
Yeah, I mean, just think how much your hands stink. And I always grew up, I was a tomboy, but when it comes to touching fish, I'll touch bass, but I'm kind of girly about everything else. Like, I got 2 pairs of pliers. I'm not touching that catfish. I'm taking it off. But to put one in your mouth, just think of how bad your hands smell after you're done. No. She can have that trick.
There you go.
I'm tickled plum pink after that one. I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how she's getting her hands to smell like fish. I mean,
right?
You got to catch fish for that.
Well,
Terry over here with first world problems.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I got days, trust me, that my hands smell like Dove. That they don't smell like fish, but yeah.
All right. So what's your, Joe Barking Rugers asked your main method. What is your favorite way to fish? If you could fish one lure for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Well,
the tackle box.
Right.
my favorite, like I said, is a jig.
Right.
If I had one lure and I had to depend on eating, I'd probably choose a shaky head, because shaky heads just flat out catch fish. If I'm going for numbers, I'm probably got a shaky head on. If I'm going for size, I probably got a jig on.
And John, the one thing I find fascinating with that question, right? I think it has a lot to do with where a person fishes the most.
It does.
Because my answer to that is way different.
Really?
So, and it's not for effectiveness. It's for what can I get back to me? It's because of where I fish.
Right.
You hang up so much. You'll 8 hours fishing. You'll spend 7 hours picking your bait off the logs, off the stumps. So, and I find the people that have very opinionated, like, oh, I like this. It works so great. It has a lot to do with where you're at.
Well, I can I get stuck. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, my home lake that I live closest to is giant rock and filled with rock. Everything's rock. Rock. The bottom's rock. Everything's rock. And I go through quite a lot of shaky heads, but not as many as you would think. I don't fish a shaky head probably the way everybody else does it. So I guess I don't hang up too often on stumps and trees and stuff with a shaky head.
She ain't gonna tell you how she does it, John. She ain't gonna give the juice.
Now, I've never caught a fish on a shaky head.
I don't know that there's juice. It's just they, to throw it out and let it sink and then just sit and shake it. No, that's not me. That's drag it, flip it, swim it. I mean, there's a million different ways to.
But I bet 10 to 1, one of the things you love about it is how fast it gets to the bottom.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I don't get too many bites on the fall on a shaky head. Now,
right.
If I'm doing that finessey crap I will try putting a Cinco either with a nail weight or something. I will try that first because I flat out hate fishing at weightless. So I will put one on a light shaky head, and I do get bites on the fall on that, but not my typical.
I'm going to take a wild shot and say this is Trisha McGraw, my kind of girl. She was complimenting you on the shaky head because she knows I've yet to catch a fish on a shaky head.
Oh,
how many you caught on that Ned rig?
One. All right.
You want to talk about getting stuck?
Here's a good question.
That dang Ned rig gets stuck more than anything I have ever fished.
Yeah. Seeker wants us to ask Teri about how you keep your head when everything goes bad and able to turn it all around. I witnessed this and was quite impressed with her.
I know what she's talking about. Well, first of all, secrets should never be in the back of the boat. So I understand, but it has given me the pleasure to fish with her a couple times. I was nervous as hell to fish with her because when you fish like boater on boater, I am my own worst enemy, right? And I've finally figured this out. In the early years, she'll know. I was a hothead, and I thought I had a lot of confidence, and quite frankly, I'm sure I wasn't well liked, and I didn't really care, right? But as I've gotten older, I've realized that fishing is just not that important in the grand scheme of things. If I suck in a tournament, oh well. I'll fish the next one, right? Whereas before I'd beat myself up for months. So what Secret's referring to is, just the mental aspect of fishing and tournament fishing. And when things don't go to win a tournament, I can't tell you in the last several years how many times I've finished second, third. You have got to have everything go your way. In that day, you've got to not only find the fish, they got to bite, you got to get them in, you don't do stupid crap like I did, you can't just leave them there hanging while you decide what you're going to, net them with. So she's referring to, I think we were at Truman Lake and I pitched up next to it's all trees, but I pitched up next to a tree and I hooked, just a ginormous bass. It probably would have been big bass for the tournament. And I got it to the surface and its mouth was just massive. And, I'm reeling it and she says I switched directions, which I see people do that all the time on like MLF. They go one way and then another way. And I'm like, if that was me, that crap would have came off already. So that's what she said I did wrong. But I guess I switched directions when I was reeling and it popped off. And, when you're in a tournament, you're fishing for money and you're fishing for position and points. And that can be like, that moment can make or break your day. And I used to let it get in my head, and I'd be really pissed that, that was my shot. That was the winning fish. All these things that go through your mind. And I'm sure I said a few choice words that, I apologize to everyone that's ever fished with me, because it comes out. But, you just got to regroup and realize that, oh, well, there'll be another one. And if there's not another one, I'll learn from my mistakes. And, we were struggling, and, I started running around, and, eventually you'll land on them. And I used to freak out if I didn't have a fish by like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I'm like, oh, I suck. And, oh, this, it's all, and I don't do that anymore, because I've had times where, I didn't feel my limit till right before it's time to go, go check in. So I've really worked a lot on my mental game in my mouth, as far as being a nicer, better person. I tend to say what I think, and the filter sometimes isn't there, but I think I've done a lot better as I've gotten older. So
there's a lot of things that have to go right to get in those top spaces on any board.
There is. And we don't, the women's tour doesn't have the sponsorship that they need to draw. There's a lot of women out there that fish, and, the Academy and BAS days, there's over 100 boats. But I can tell you, these women that fish, they know what they're doing, right? There may only be 20, 25, 30 tops, but they can fish. And any given day, I think any one of those ladies can win. And I'm not just saying that. I think that the competition is incredible. The girls know what they're doing, and you just have to have everything go right. I've won 2 of the events, and I was Angler of the Year last year, and I dang near was Angler of the Year again this year. But I screwed up at Gunnersville on the last day, which, may or may not have cost me, but it is what it is. It's just, I want to win one more before I hang things up, which I feel like hanging things up is closer than it is farther away. I just want to win one more, but it's so dang hard. And, second place, it just haunts me all the time. I'm always second. I'm always hugging good job. And in my mind, I'm like, dang, I was so close. I'm happy for them, genuinely, but I know I have one more in me.
Yeah. Travis Birch says, "What's up, Teri Cindric?"
What's up, Travis? Who'd you bet on in the game? That's what I want to know.
I don't think he bet on Houston, Tennessee.
Well, it's 6-3, so it's a very exciting game. Not really.
Yeah, but nothing more exciting than talking fishing.
Yeah.
So what do you think would be the key for Grand for you?
I'll tell you that after. But I went down.
Like, I'm going to show up.
Yeah. I think the key to Grand is catching fish. And I don't mean that, well, I'm kind of being a smart aleck, but I think personally, I've never been to Grand. I am not one. I come to the tournaments with very little information. Hell, I used to run around and people say, oh, there's a brush pile before like GPS has got all fancy. And oh, it's off this dock in this cup. And I'd spend practice like looking for that damn thing and I never find it, And so I learned over the years, do it yourself or don't do it. Right. So I don't know a lot about Grand. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I get online and I watch videos so I can see what it looks like and see what people are doing and how they're catching fish. But I have very little time to research too. So I may watch 5 videos. I may Google the top 10 lures used, but it's probably a different time of year.
Yeah.
I think I went over Labor Day with a couple other gals that are in the championship and actually fished with. I said, I'll go, but I'm not pulling my boat that far. So we fished together, and really it was Labor Day. It was crazy. That lake, there were so many huge boats, and it was kind of windy. And that lake, I will say, if it's over 10 to 15 miles an hour wind, you better figure out how you're going to get there and back. Because there are some big open areas in that lake that can get really rough. I think I'm not a dock fisherman. Like a Senko, I'd rather pull my toenails out than fish docks. I'll do it. But I don't ever focus and spend 10 to 15 minutes on a dock. If I'm dock fishing, I'm hitting key parts of that dock and I'm moving on. I did see other structure and things that I like to fish. So I went up river, and I went down the next day. I mean, we weren't there very long. So at least I know what it looks like. I think it's going to be very hard to put together a nice limit 3 days in a row. So, that mental aspect of it, I'm already preparing myself that if you do well one day and you tank the next day, don't get in your own head, because you can come back the third day. If someone goes out there and crushes them 3 days in a row, I hope that's me, but it's fall fishing is tough anyway, I think. And I'm just going by what I think. And as far as the weather, I'm not sure fish have fully transitioned yet. So I think there's going to be a couple different ways you could approach it. I would like to have a backup plan, I've learned to not, if you get a pattern, great, but don't be married to it. And I think that's, with Angler of the Year and stuff, I'm no longer afraid to just go fish something I haven't fished in practice, right? I think it's going to be junk fishing 101. I'd be surprised if anybody, can whack them on this weightless green pumpkin Senko for the whole time. I just don't think that's going to happen. I typically, knock on wood, do better when it's tough. If everybody's out there catching them, I usually get spanked. But I don't know. I think it's a beautiful facility. It's a beautiful lake. It looks like we're going to have beautiful weather, which is great, because I hate fishing in storms and all of that. But I think you better plan on doing several different things to get them to bite.
Excuse me.
Am I
Sorry
boring
about that.
you? Am I boring you, John?
No, I'm exhausted.
It's okay, Terry. He's just old.
Well, aren't we all?
Joe he's the youngest one here, I think. What are you, 21?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple times over. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm just looking forward to a week off of work, and I generally have to work during competitions, and I take vacation, but I always end up working, and this time I'm not going to. So I'm just looking forward to having I wouldn't say stress-free, because that's not, it's not, it's very stressful to have to go out on a new lake you don't know and you don't know much about, and you got to figure it out in a few days. So just
sometimes that's liberating, though. You're not stuck to old things.
There is a home lake curse, and I've experienced it. So, yeah, I love fishing new lakes.
I kind of feel like every lake is my home lake with that curse.
Well, I used to hate bull shoals, but now I'm a fan. So, you get lakes you like and lakes you don't like. And
Like Gunnersville. Oh, it's an amazing place.
No, it isn't.
No, it used to be. And I'm still a little burnt on myself for what I did. I didn't adjust.
Me too.
Like day one, I was, I think, in third, and I was in the Angler of the Year race. And day two, I brought in one, and I tried to force something. And, I've kind of pride myself on not doing that anymore. And I did it. And I don't live that far from Gunnersville, but I don't fish it very often. And when I fished it last time, it was I'm talking like 10 years ago or so. It's an incredible ledge lake. It used to be an incredible hydrilla lake. And now just that eelgrass God, that lake is just, I know people that live there probably like it, but in my eyes, it's overwhelming. And it just pissed me off because there's things I wanted to fish that, you throw a crankbait out there and it's just full of grass or eelgrass when you bring it back. And so I should have went up and frog fish, but that's not my forte either. And I didn't. And it used to be an incredible ledge lake, and a lot of ledges that I knew before, hell, they didn't even have like a hard bottom anymore. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I find I like the best about all of this, John, and what keeps me coming back is every single person we talk to, it's their enthusiasm. They have, everybody has something that just brings out the little kid in them when it comes to bass fishing. Like Teri's talking about how she had a Class A personality, some people might not like me, and I'm sure they didn't. But I guarantee you sit down with her for 5 minutes and she's a little kid at heart. She's got something she absolutely loves.
I'm a lot nicer than I used to be. I used to pop off a lot, and Secret has actually experienced that, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. And, I just try to shut my mouth now and go fishing and stay out all that, with any fishing circle, guys, girls, there's dog talk, there's drama, there's, she did this or she did that, or I don't like her or I don't like him. I truly try to stay out all that mess.
I can feel your pain with Gunnersville. If I lived on the lake, I'd take up hunting.
They came in and started spraying it while we were there. So I don't know if that helped, but I don't ever want to go back there. Yeah. It used to be somebody in Kentucky Lake is kind of the same way, but Kentucky Lake's coming back. It's not that far from Nashville. And somebody called, hey, you want to go to Gunnersville or you want to go to Kentucky Lake? It used to be like, yeah. And now it's like, no, I'd rather stay home where I know I can catch fish.
All right. I'm going to catch up on a couple more comments real quick. Travis Birch says he didn't bet tonight. Crush It Gel has a man crush on barking Rugers. Sherry Jacks. She told me many times, never give up. Don't get discouraged.
Yeah, I need to take my own advice on that one.
Right.
It can be difficult.
She fished with me when it was very painful.
And Crush the Gel wants to know what's up with them spraying grass on the Big G.
Well, if you like all that grass on Big G, then more power to you. I can't think of a world where they could kill it all. It is just, that lake is just consumed with it.
Yeah. All right, Teri. So we're pretty much at a point where we like to let you take over and talk about your sponsors and all that stuff. People who helped you get to where you are. But first, I do have a question I have to ask. What's your favorite homemade cookie?
Homemade. I would have to say white chocolate chip.
Oh.
I'm not a chocolate fan, but I do like white chocolate. So
now my wife will tell you white chocolate is not officially chocolate, so
Well, that's probably why I like it then. I don't dislike chocolate. It's just not.
Right.
I'm not one that if you got a Snicker bar and a bowl of vanilla ice cream, I'm going for the ice cream.
Same here. How about you, Barker?
Well, my wife's got me on the arsenic and oatmeal cookies, so I just stay away. I'm partial to the cheap old Pillsbury in a tube. You cut them up in a couple slices, throw them in the oven. It's just.
I like to eat that dough raw.
Right?
Yeah.
Like simple. Like it's the jig of cookies. Chop it up, toss it in.
I actually put, like, when we make cookies on occasion, and I'll roll up the dough in a ball, and I won't cook mine. I'll put it in the freezer and then eat it.
With your ice cream.
That's right.
See? We're finding common ground. We're throwing jigs here.
Yep.
All right, Teri. If now it's your turn. Talk about your sponsors, people who help you get to where you are, and who you're rooting for tonight.
Well, I guess as far as sponsors, there's not. I mean, I've been with Pure Fishing and Seagar and Ducket Rods, and people make fun of Ducket Rods, but I'm here to tell you that Pro Series rod. Now, I do have some eyelet issues. I will give it that. But when I'm finesse fishing, I use, and I'm not sponsored by St. Croix, but I use basically 2 rod brands, and that's a Ducket Pro Series and St. Croix. And if I'm power fishing, heavier stuff, Carolina rig, that kind of stuff, I'm using St. Croix. I do have a couple loses starting to get a strong rod line. So I'm starting to introduce a couple of lose rods in there, but that Ducket, when I talk about fishing a shaky head, it's generally not on spinning gear because I freaking hate spinning gear. I use it now. I'm kind of back to it with this forward-facing sonar jazz. I've had to suck it up and throw it, but those Pro Series rods, fishing a shaky head, I tell you, they are. I can feel it. I can set the hook. I really love them for finesse.
Thought she hit you in the eye with the weenie wand there, John.
I think so. But no, I've got to tell you, I used to build and repair rods. And when Ducket first came out, I was so happy.
Yeah. Because
the guides would pop off.
Yeah.
You set the hook and the guide would fall off. And I'm like, yep, there's another $5.
Yeah. Well, I don't have problems like that. And I can't really speak for the other lines because I am totally the Pro Series line, and that's it. That they came out with some, I don't know, it was like a $400 rod, and of course I got it, and I broke like 3 of them on a hook set, and I sent it back to him. I said, I don't want this anymore. Just exchange it out for some Pro Series rods. So I think they've gotten a little better, but I still have an eyelet problem here and there. Yeah. As far as other sponsors, I don't. Like I said, I don't engage in it much. So I'd rather take the time to just, thank the ladies. They're really a great bunch of people. We're all getting older, most of us. And like Pam Martin Wells, if you can learn from somebody, we weren't the best of friends back when I had a big mouth. We had run-ins and stuff. We buried the hatchet, and I actually talked to her. I try to contact her once a week, her and cancer and all the stuff she's been through. And, I tried to give her my spot at Grand just because, life's too short, and, she deserves to be out there, and it hurts my heart, everything that she's gone through. And another lady is a good friend of mine, Terry Bittner. She's got cancer and she's still fishing. She's fishing the classic, and I know these ladies, they just go through so much, and I'm just amazed at the resilience and the respect I have for all of them, really, to come out and do what they do. So just big shout out to Pam and Teri and to everybody. I'm sure that there's stuff I don't know about, and it's just a great group. If you're ever thinking about coming out and fishing, this group it's unlike any other series I've fished. I do think our co-anglers are kind of spoiled, and they'll probably be mad at me for saying that, but after fishing the Bass Opens where you don't even really get to fish, they help you. I watched Christine Fisher, who's, she's big name kayak, made her name there, came over and fished Gunnersville with us. And, I watched her video, and she's literally telling the co-angler where to throw and, how to I think she put on the bait for her and stuff. And I'm like, girl, that good for you, but I don't even do that. So everybody's like helpful and courteous, and, I don't know. I just encourage you, if you ever had a thought, just come out and try it. I think Travis and Craig have done a great job taking this over and promoting it. And, the weigh-ins are so well run, and it's just everybody's trying to get it to keep. And that's one of the reasons I keep going, because I want to support it.
I enjoy the enthusiasm y'all have, because I haven't met one of y'all yet that hasn't loved it.
Oh, I love it. There's days I hate it. Don't get me wrong. The worst part is the traveling. Right. I go by myself, and driving to Grand is like 9 hours. Although I'm going to go to Little Rock first and spend the night and kind of break it up, but it just. Things go wrong, and it's stressful. It's stressful to go. I've had tires blown and hubs blow, and it's not fun going that far. But once you get there, it's a great group of people. The husbands or partners or whoever, everybody helps, and it's a big family. It's pretty cool.
It's a hell of a journey.
It is. I'm getting too old.
So am I.
But, I'll keep doing it as much as I can. I don't think next year I probably won't even make the Classic next year. I'm having surgery after Grand Lake, and I'll be 3 to 6 months probably before I can fish. So that's going to be a rough one for me, because even if I'm not tournament fishing, my family is like, if I haven't fished for a week or two, go to the lake. You need to fish. Go. Because I don't know. It's just my sanity, really.
Yeah. Well, Teri, I want to thank you for coming on, talking to us tonight, and safe travels, and good luck at Grand.
You. Hopefully you'll get a few views. I don't know. I don't do this stuff very often, so
that's okay. We're not here for the accolades or anything like that. We're here just to meet people and talk fishing and promote the women's sport.
Well, I do appreciate your support and having women on, and trying to drive interest. So thank you.
I'm sure we'd love to see you come back once you get done with that surgery, and catch you on the other side.
Well, I went at the Opens, just real quick. I fished the Harris Chain. That was one of the lakes, and I absolutely fell in love with that lake. And they have it. If there is any way I can make it to Harris Chain, I'm going to make it. That and Bull Shoals, I should be ready to go by then. And, Craig and the whole Anchor Point family it's just an awesome place to stay for a week and fish. So I'm hoping I'll be ready by then, but it's on my hand, and I don't know. It's going to be a bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a good night. Enjoy the football, and be safe, and hope we get you on after the win on Grand.
If I win Grand, you can have me on as much as you want.
She said she gonna be hard to live with, John. She gonna be hard to live with.
Hey, the good thing about that though is I'm in New York and she's in Tennessee, so
yeah, you'll hear me. You'll hear me. Probably, I don't show a lot of emotion, but you'll hear me screaming probably. if that happened.
All right, Teri, have a good night.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
Wow.
Right? Like what? I'm sitting here like, what the hell am I doing with my life?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing about me.
I need that kind of happiness.
Yes.
She's got problems I don't have, but I'd like to have because my hands don't smell like fish me.
I mean, the only time my hands smell like fish is if I'm going through the Wegmans fresh food.
Right.
Yeah. All right, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Joe, for stepping in for Rob tonight. Appreciate it. Had a good time. And, anytime you want to come on, let us know. And we'll try to fit you on sometime.
Roger that.
All right.
Y'all have a great night.
All right. You guys be safe and enjoy the night. And I'll say it for Rob. Peace out.